Good afternoon, leaders. Welcome to episode number 2 of Leading Through Adversity. I've been thinking about how I can serve my friends and my clients during this crisis time with the coronavirus. And I thought about sharing insights about crisis and leading through it and what great leaders have done and some of my own insights. So this is number 2, and my goal is simple. I want to empower you, I want to encourage you, and I want to inspire you on leading through this time. So let's jump into episode number 2, Leading Through Adversity. And today I want to talk about the nature of crisis and adversity and then what we can do with it as leaders. So like yesterday, I'm going to give you 3 points. I hope you take some notes and just grab onto 1 or 2 things from today that will add value to you in your leadership and your team. So number 1, adversity is distraction. I want you to think about, we're just being bombarded by all this information and news. I want you to think about your Facebook feed and all the experts that are now on Facebook. And I was thinking about just my Facebook world and the same people that were experts on constitutional law a month ago are now experts on infectious diseases. And if you watch CNN or Fox News and just all the ways we are being bombarded by all this and the updates, what can be a distraction. I want you to think about that word distraction. Distraction. Adversity takes away from traction. What great leaders do is they help people focus on what brings traction. I want you to think about what brings traction in your life and how you can help your team gain some traction through this time of distraction. Well, how can we do that? I just got off a call with one of my clients. She said, H, how can I bring traction to my team? And I want to give you this encouragement. I want you to think about great coaches. And what great coaches do is when they have a team that the playbook is just too large, they can't handle all the playbook, what they do is they simplify the playbook. I want you to think about doing the same thing. Simplify your playbook during crisis. What that means for us as leaders is focus on 1 or 2 things that you can do that help keep you moving forward during this time for yourself and for your team. Help your team get traction during this time of distraction. Simplify the playbook. Give them 1 or 2 things. Give your team 1 or 2 things we can focus on this week. By the end of this week, by the end of the day tomorrow, let's do these 2 things or 1 thing. When next week rolls around, give them some traction. Okay, this week, this is what I want us to focus on. Forget all that stuff out there. I want us to focus on this 1 or 2 things. So I want you to think about how you can help your team get traction. So that's number 1. Adversity brings distraction. Great leaders provide traction in times of distraction. Number 2, adversity requires connection. Now, great leaders connect all the time. It's one of the things that great leaders do. They stay connected with their teams. It's even more important now. Great leaders communicate and they stay connected during time of disconnection. So crisis, especially now we're all at home, can bring disconnection. Great leaders are not going to settle for that. You're going to find ways to connect with your team. Listen, your team is not like you. You're a leader for a reason, and you may not need the connection they need. I want you to think like them. Many of your people are afraid. They're worried about losing their job. They don't have a lot of clarity. Maybe they're working from home now and what they should be doing. I'm going to challenge you to connect. And there's 4 different ways to connect. Face-to-face is the best way. Well, that's pretty much out. But you can use calls like this. Use Zoom. Face-to-face, but through virtual media. Phone calls. And then last but not least is digitally, emails and text messages. But use this as a last resort. This is only for information. This is only for information and light connection. If there's any kind of misunderstanding or conflict or need for clarity, go up the scale. Phone call or virtual connection like this brings connection. Listen, your team needs to know they're valued, that you're thinking about them. Stay connected to them during this time of disconnection. Okay. Oh, let me make sure I don't want to lose this point. I made this point in my notes. In this connection piece, make your communication, be very judicious in your communication. Don't just think every day you have to be connecting, communicating. Communicate judiciously, be smart. Short, concise, well thought out communication is what's needed right now. Again, there's a lot of noise and we're getting a lot of connection and communication. Don't add to the noise, cut through it with good, judicious, concise, sharp, well thought out communication. So don't disconnect, but don't over communicate either. Be really wise right here. Okay, adversity requires connection. Be judicious in your communication. Number 3, adversity requires adaptability. Makes sense, right? I was talking to a great high performer yesterday. She made this point very well with me. I asked her, how is this affecting you? And she said, H, the first week I kind of had the rug pulled out from underneath me because my routine was just wrecked. And she was specifically talking about going to the gym. For this person, going to the gym and working out gives her a really good headspace, gets the endorphins going. Well, that's been taken away. I said, what'd you do? I said, well, my husband and I, we went out and bought a Peloton. They have a Peloton in their house. So now she's created a new routine. She's adapted, created a new routine, back to exercising, which gives her the headspace she needs as a leader to stay sharp. This is the old military axiom that we learn in the military. Great leaders improvise, adapt, and overcome. So adversity requires adaptability. Listen, let's go back to the coaching model. Good coaches come in with a good game plan. Great coaches make amazing halftime adjustments. This is the time to make an amazing halftime adjustment. Maybe your original plan for 2020 is now out the window. Hey, make a halftime adjustment. Go into the locker room with your team and say, okay, this is how we're going to attack the second quarter of 2020. Great coaches adapt during halftime. I just watched an interview with Tom Watson, one of the greatest golfers of all time, if you don't know who he is. And he was asked about, how he won all these tournaments. And the interviewer said, did you know you were going to win? Did you feel really good about your game going into it? He said, there are very few times that I won a tournament where going into it, I felt like I was going to win this tournament. There were a few where my swing was just pure and I knew I was going to have a great chance to win. And he said this phrase, most of the time I adjusted my way to winning. In other words, during the tournament, he tweaked and adjusted his swing and his mindset. I adjusted my way to winning. I want you to do the same thing. I want you to think about how you can adjust your way to winning during this time of adversity. 3 areas. Is there any area in your personal life you need to adjust so you can win? There are things that get in your way? Anger, bitterness, impatience, control issues. I don't know, just the things we all as human beings face. How do you get in your own way? This is a great time during this downtime to adjust your way to winning. So personally, professionally, what are some things you can do right now to plant seeds for the future? The greatest leaders right now, they're planting seeds for the other side of this. This is not a time for us to go out and make it rain. You're not going to go out and market. All those things are out the window. So right now, this is a seed planting time professionally. What seeds are you planting for the future? And then third, relationally. What are you doing relationally to win on the other side of this? Reconnect with your spouse, your kids, your family. This is a really good time to pause and adapt so we can win in the future. So our 3 points for today were adversity is distraction, but leaders provide great traction. Number 2, adversity requires connection. Make sure you're connecting with your team. Number 3, adversity requires adaptability. These are great halftime adjustments so you can adjust your way to winning. Tomorrow is episode number 3 of Leading Through Adversity. Again, my desire is to help empower, inspire, and encourage you. I'm H.R. Huntsman, and this is the Leader's Edge. Now I want you to be safe, be well, and shine.